Good evening. Welcome. I'll open the January 6th Public Works Committee meeting. There is an extensive agenda. Item number one are the report of we see the monthly reports and citizen committee meeting minutes. And item 1A is the December 2024 Highway Department report. There are attachments. Any questions or comments from members of the board? I see none, so I'll move for approval of the Highway Department report minutes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. A little slow. Item B, November 2024 Refuse and Recycling Department report. There is an attachment. I'll ask if there are any questions or comments. I see none, so we'll move for approval. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. President, if I'm going too fast, you'll let me know.
No, you're doing fine. Thank you.
Okay. Item C, December 2024 Parks Maintenance Department report. Again, there is an attachment. Any questions or comments? I see none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Item D, an extensive report from Mr. Stuckert. December 2024 Street and Traffic Light Superintendent report, which includes 7 pages of exquisite detail. Thank you, Mr. Stuckert. Every month, they're getting bigger, and you're getting more and more on your shoulders. Any questions or comments? Go ahead, Commissioner Norris.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Stuckert, my question is, thank you for the collection efforts that you're doing when poles get knocked down and there are insurance opportunities to collect from the insurance company. My question is, in the notes, you stated Allstate has a limit of $50,000. Do we have an opportunity to pursue the drivers involved directly if the insurance company limit is exceeded, as in the instance noted?
So I believe we've gone through this before, and you could go after them civilly. However, I do not believe you're going to get anything further than the money that is in their insurance policy.
Okay, and the same answer then is in the case where a claim is denied? Again,
it was denied for lack of insurance at the time of the accident. So I don't know if you can go after them or not. That would be a question for Mr. Diazio.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Diazio?
That's okay. The answer was satisfactory, so thank you. Well, I'll save our legal fees.
Any other questions or comments on the Commissioner Rappaport?
Yeah, just to follow up on that, because it does add up, and it really, the township's taking a hit. A lot of those occur on state roads. And so my question is really about safety on state roads, and whether PennDOT, whether we can get them to take some responsibility, or in some way get them involved in some of the reimbursement. Yeah, well, I mean, at least advocate for it.
We can certainly try, Commissioner, and we'll work outside of this meeting, and we'll follow up again. We've tried in the past. We've tried different avenues. It's, as Mr. Stuckert knows, it's really hard, but we'll take another look at it and see if there's any other creative solutions that we're leaving on the table.
I do have an additional question. Township Manager Elliott, when we were looking into our property and casualty coverage, and in particular liability, did we look into potentially securing some supplemental coverage that would enable us to have some additional insurance and payout, along that line item, given the shortfall that we continually experience?
One thing with this year, with our new insurance, or re-upping our insurance, they had dropped us for that coverage, and we are now recovered. So that is a benefit for this year.
Thank you. Any other comments on this? Okay. Oh, Commissioner Brockington.
Hey, Joe, real quick.
not getting off that easy. So is it Allstate is the only insurance company right now that has that limit? Or are you seeing it with other insurance companies?
No, so it's not an insurance company limit.
Yeah, I didn't think it would. It's a policy
It's
limit.
a policy limit, right.
Right.
So it's the limit that they can
Property
offer
damage.
under the policy,
Right.
correct.
It's a policy limit. Okay. I thought someone said Allstate. Thank you.
That just happens to be the insurance company that has that claim, that's all. But yeah, it's not an insurance company policy.
Thank you, Mr. Stucker. Any other questions or comments? So I'll move for approval, item D, the street and traffic light superintendent report. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Item E, December 2024 fleet superintendent report. Any questions or comments? See none, I'll move for approval. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And item 1F, which is a December 2024 stormwater coordinator report. Any questions or comments on that report as well? I see none. Before I go to the last two items, I do want to make a quick point. In the reorganization, we reappointed a long list of our advisors and consultants. And in the day in, day out work that's done by Kyle and his team in highway, Mike in recycling, Bob in parks maintenance, Joe Stucker, who we've already singled out, in streetlight and traffic signals, Jim Slade in flight maintenance, and Samantha Brinker in stormwater. We really have an extraordinary group of people on staff leading teams that have a lot of obligations and responsibly take care of the things that we have day in and day out. You know, in some cases, as we know from Bo, 24/7 when they have to be. So just an acknowledgement, while we've identified and acknowledged the appointment or reappointments of those consultants and advisors, our teams are led by some terrific individuals who do their job and do so tirelessly. So just a point to thank each of you for the continuing work that you're doing for all of us. Thank you. I'll go to item G, which is the Shade Tree Advisory. Oh, Commissioner Rappaport, do you have something on that? Okay, on Shade Tree, go ahead.
Okay, thanks. Just in those minutes under old business, it's just trivial, but a typo. It gives us the address for the high school, Elkins Park, and it's Wyncote. So if they're going to give the address, it ought to
Good
be
catch.
right.
Any other questions, comments, additions? Okay, so I'll move with that correction to accept the Shade Tree Advisory Committee minutes from the December 12th meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Last item H, the Environmental Advisory Council minutes from the December 16th meeting. Any questions, comments? I see none, so I'll move approval. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. I will close item 1 and go to item 2, old business. And 2A is an update on the SEPTA Bridges Rehabilitation Project in Glenside. Who's going to pick that one up? Joe, haven't seen you at least in 3 minutes.
Good evening, Commissioners. At the last meeting, SEPTA did make a presentation along with their contractor and consultants for the project. This committee asked that Bowman review the plans for the detours. So they did reach out to Bowman. As you see in the memo, they have agreed to accept Bowman's recommendations for the slight change in detour, which will not it will separate the cars and the trucks. So the trucks will not be going up to Limekiln Pike. However, they will be going down, continue on Keswick to Waverly, and then back on the east in that way, rather than going all the way up to Limekiln to come around. And based on the studies and really what we see on a regular basis, that direction is not that really heavily used at all for large trucks. A lot of them come off of Easton Road to come down. And if they're going to come down Glenside, they're usually going to something in that area. So there's not really a significant truck traffic that does utilize that, but it does make for better turns to go that way versus going up to Limekiln Pike. There was also the question from Commissioner Cherico about the lighting, I believe, or somebody brought that up. That was discussed. As you see, there is no change in lighting for either of those locations. And they have reached out to Arcadia. That was the other question regarding the mural. They're supposed to have a meeting in January to discuss that mural and how they want to proceed with that. And then I forget if there was something else you had asked.
Didn't we have an updated timetable we were looking for?
So the timetable, what they gave is, the shortest they can really commit to. They're going to do the best they can to shorten that. Originally, like I said, it was over 12 weeks, gotten down under 6 weeks. So they are going to work the longer hours. They're really not going to work Sundays at this point that we're aware of, but they are going to work the longer hours and try to get Saturdays as well. They have on their timeline to reach out to all of the businesses in the area. They are going to add additional signage on both ends of the detour on Easton Road, letting people know that the businesses are open for business. So there will be additional signage at those locations so that people will know that the businesses are open. And they are going to be speaking again with the property owners and business owners as it gets closer to construction, and they can give them a better, more confirmed times and things like that.
I'd like to make a proposal, and I'm not sure if this is the place or we even have the authority to do so. My concern is with specifically the Ways Brewery. They have a parking lot that is only accessible on that block. And if we were to allow the SEPTA to shut that down for 5 weeks, that's going to have a huge impact on the ability of their customers to park or visit. So do we have any sort of language or any sort of response from SEPTA about whether people are going to be able to access that driveway and that parking lot?
So yeah, speaking with them, they're going to do the best they can as long as it's not impeding the work that they have to do as well right there to keep that open, which would be from the Mount Carmel Avenue side. They're not going to be able to access it from the other side, but as much as they can, as long as they don't have to have equipment set up on that side of it for a short term to do the work, and as long as it's safe to have vehicles come through there at that time, then they are going to keep that open for as long as possible.
So I'm a little frustrated that SEPTA has not taken the initiative to contact any of these businesses that are going to be dramatically affected by this. I think it's, I wish I would have asked SEPTA to be here at this meeting because I know it was an option. I'm extremely disappointed that I was the one that brought this news up to a township, up to the owner of the Ways a month ago. I would have thought that SEPTA would have taken, all of the work that they would have done. They would have reached out to these businesses. So I put that on the record, and I would love to have SEPTA come to our next meeting and maybe explain to us what efforts they're going to take to ensure that these businesses are not affected.
Yeah, so like I said, I did speak to them about that. From the contractor is going to do a reach out to them as well, and SEPTA did state that they had reached out to businesses, evidently not all of them. But like I said, I had a meeting with the contractor and the representative for SEPTA, not SEPTA directly, was not in the meeting, but I guess the architects that were involved, the engineers or the project managers, and they have all said that they are reaching out to them as it gets closer so they can know exactly what's closed, what's going to be open, but they do plan on keeping that open, like I said, unless it's going to be a danger for the workers or something like that.
Understood. Thank you so much.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, go ahead.
Joe, thank you for that. I agree with Commissioner Cherico that the outreach has been insufficient thus far. And frankly, waiting, in my view, waiting until we're absolutely sure about the date certain is too late. So I think the communication from the township to SEPTA needs to be early contact and frequent contact out to all the businesses that are going to be affected over the 6-week period. So even if it's just an outreach that, hey, this project is happening in the spring, and then another outreach to say, we anticipate on this date, and then a confirmation communication that it will happen on this date, I think is essential for a successful process, because otherwise, I think many of the businesses are going to sort of be behind the 8 ball if it's too late.
Yeah, and I did ask them for that, for when they are going to have those meetings, to please make us aware of that, so we have those times as well. They did call me today to see if we needed anything else. I told them I'd be in contact with them tomorrow if anything else came up. So I will definitely pass that along, make sure that that's taken care of and addressed promptly. And then I think mainly what they're asking for is a concurrence that the detour route is okay, because it is using township roads rather than any county roads or state roads. So that's really what they need to move forward with this month with completing their plans. So I think that was the big thing they were looking for. But I will pass that along, and I'll get an answer back from them.
Well, it seems to me that we could probably concur on the detours if they give us a good communication plan.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Rappaport?
Yeah, that was partly what I was going to suggest, is that we link a date at which, you know, we're agreeing to this, by which time they will have to have evidence that they've reached out to all the businesses, and make it very clear. So it's not on Mr. Stuckert to set that date, but it's really to us that they're accountable.
Again, to that point, Commissioner Rappaport, I think a letter should come under the township manager from from the Board of Commissioners and the township manager, requesting specifically in support of, you know, Mr. Stuckert's efforts, but in support of all the businesses. Everybody should be part of that communication. Businesses should be part of that communication process.
Can we have a SEPTA at our legislative meeting in 2 weeks to update us on what efforts they've taken to notify the businesses?
I think that's being put into the notes by our township manager. So I think that's a great idea. And Mr. Stuckert, if you coordinate after Township Manager Elliott puts that together, there may be some other things that they've shared with you.
Yes, like I said, I'll reach out to them tomorrow morning. He is aware that meeting's tonight, so I'll reach out to them tomorrow morning. If you want them at the meeting, then I will mention that to them as well tomorrow and ask them for a better time frame before that meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Stuckert. You may not want to leave. Commissioner Rappaport, you have another one?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
On this, and it's kind of irrelevant to what we've been talking about, but several of us received an email about, I would call it flooding up the steps under the Easton Road overpass. And I don't know, I haven't been there when the steps have been flooded, but I guess the question is, are we looking into whether that's just because it's a low point, or if there is any other issue going on, and whether SEPTA should help with that?
Thank you, Commissioner Rappaport.
So with that, the flooding has occurred for, I mean, I've been in the township for well over 25 years. That flooding has occurred. It was greatly reduced when the project occurred to install the storm pipe from underneath that bridge. It goes all the way down and then also picks up Keswick and leads into the creek there. So it has, I mean, during a super significant, you know, hurricane type rain, yes, you're going to get flooding. We get that everywhere. But during the normal rains, as far as I'm aware, and I believe Bo, you know, can concur with that, that it does not flood during a normal, you know, rain period, just during a, you know, extremely heavy, long period of rain.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. So we'll move on now to item 3, new business. Like I said to you, Mr. Stuckert, you may not want to leave. New business first. Consider recommending the Board of Commissioners authorize submission of Green Light Go grant applications for the following intersections. Intersection 1 is New 2nd Street and Coventry Avenue. Intersection 2 is Limekiln, Pike, and Waverly Road. So I guess we should take those as 2 separate items. Joe, you may be the most ready to talk about it.
So this is just a grant submission on our behalf. The intersection at Coventry and New 2nd was actually looked at probably 6 years ago. We asked PennDOT to look at that 5 years ago or so, and they agreed that the plans for that, believe it or not, are actually a hand-drawn plan for that intersection is what's on record. They had given some suggestions at that time, but we did not move forward with that. So now we're just looking to actually go for a grant to upgrade that intersection.
Do we know what that grant amount is?
Not yet. We're waiting for, we had to submit comments to PennDOT for a preliminary review, and they will get comments back to us by the end of the month. And then we have to submit, I think it's by the 22nd of February for the grant. So we'll have a better understanding of the cost. I believe that intersection might be in like $600,000 with engineering.
Is that a split on the Green Light Go grants?
Green Light Go is 80-20. So yes.
Thank you. Anybody have questions or comments on that one? No? Okay, we'll go to the next one. Limekiln, Pike, and Waverly.
Yeah, Limekiln, Pike, and Waverly, we're going for that grant because that intersection does need to get upgraded as well. Most of the underground wiring for that intersection is no longer any good, and it's all been temporarily run overhead. So again, trying to get grant funding to assist with the repairs and upgrade of that intersection.
Any sense of the amount on that one?
It's slightly less than Coventry. But like I said, I'll have it next month, like once we get our comments back and we have to adjust any plans.
Will we be ahead of the legislative session for February so that we'll be able to get that authorized next month?
Yeah, I believe we are, but it's a 2-day turnaround, so it would have to kind of get signed off on like that night or the next day for the submission to go in, so I can get it to the engineers to submit it within 2 days of the meeting.
So that should probably be on the Public Works agenda for next month. Thank you, Joe. So do we take a vote? Okay, so I'll move that we recommend, we authorize submission of these two Green Light Go grant applications for both New Second and Coventry and for Limekiln, Pike, and Waverly Road. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. Item 4, are there any other items for new business for January Public Works? I see none, so I'll close new business and open citizens forum. Is there anybody in the building that would like to weigh in on citizens forum in Public Works? I see none. Help me on, is there anybody online that would like to weigh in on citizens forum? Okay, so I'll move for adjournment of citizens forum. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.